Love learning about your community. I feel like everything is new to me, and I am just soaking everything up like a sponge, and I love learning about the history of Licking County. I love learning all of your stories. I love learning about your family stories. So I am so excited this evening to learn more about the photograph and all of the stories that are encompassed by this photo. So it's amazing to think this photo was taken in 1920. So that just astounded me. It gives me chills just thinking about it. So thank you for coming this evening, and I look forward to hearing more about your stories and getting to know each of you and getting to know your families more, and look forward to building more upon the stories of our community and sharing more about our African American community too here in Licking County. So there's so many stories that we've not yet uncovered. So I hope that everyone will share their stories with us, and feel free to reach out to me too if you ever have any ideas for programs. And also what I'll do is I'll leave my business cards on the table at the back. So without further ado, I would like to introduce Doug Stout, who is our Veterans Program Coordinator, as well as Jack Goodman, who is our local history specialist. I'm very grateful for all the work that they put into the program and working with the Trinity A.M.E. Church, as well as the NAACP. So without further ado, I'm going to turn things over. Thank you.
Thank you, Suzanne. So hello everyone, and welcome to our program, Snapshot. Trinity African Methodist Episcopal Church in Newark's African American community in 1920. We'll only be here for a little bit, 15 to 20 minutes, hopefully, for our welcome and introductions, and then we'll move up to the second floor where the exhibits will be, because the image and the community represents is the real focus of this evening. So first, I'd like to introduce Pastor Bruce Wynn, the current pastor of Trinity A.M.E. Church, to say a few words.
Does hi y'all count? First of all, let me just give honor to God and thank you all for coming this evening. I must say I am just awestruck for the work that has been done thus far, for the history of Trinity A.M.E. Church. And we only have a few minutes, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to say a couple of things, and I'm going to give a prayer, and then I'll sit down, because you know how preachers are. Y'all say we like to talk, but I'm shy. So just bear with me. I need to grab a piece of paper real quick. I'm watching the clock. You're fine. And I will also at this time thank the library and the new director and my dearly beloved sister Brianna for pursuing and taking on this charge and getting this done. And after we have sat down and talked, I did more digging, and I'm just amazed at what this church holds. And you all should be proud of this church in your community. First of all, that is still standing. And I'll say something about that real quick. The church was originally built in 1818, and it was founded, the AME Church was founded in 1835. It is the oldest African American organization in Licking County. So you should be proud that you have a great piece of history that's still here, still operating, still functioning. We're still preaching the gospel, reaching to the needy and the hungry, and anyone else we need to reach out to. So saying all that, I also want to say real quick, I just want to say hello to one of my dearly beloved brothers in the ministry from from Vernon A.M.E. Church in Columbus, Ohio. If you know anything about the A.M.E. churches, they are connectional, so we work with each other. I'm sure he's going to get the word back and let them know what this church is doing. And then one other thing, most people do not realize what AME stands for. And here goes some history real quick. AME stands for African Methodist Episcopal. And that is, we are African because our church was founded on a free Negro slave. He was basically booted out of the Methodist church, and help me if I'm wrong on some issues. He was booted out of the Methodist church, and he decided that they wanted to continue to pray. So he went to an anvil shop, and with his freedom and his monies, he bought it and made a church out of it. And we have been growing and going ever since then. We are, most people don't realize this, we are, we can say globally now, we have a church in almost every city, state, and continent and country of this world. We have a lot of outreach in Africa. We have churches, believe it or not, in India, Canada, so we all over. And one thing about the AME church, if you go to one church, our structure is so much that you will fit right in. We are family oriented. And my church, and as I continue to go, try not to ramble, as I said, is African. Methodist is our doctrine on what we base our doctrine on. We are governed by a bishop. We have presiding elders, so and to make it plain in English, bishop is the president, the presiding elder is the vice president, we are the people. The pastors are the people. So we have a structure that really works for us. So it's not all depending on the pastor to get certain things done. If we need help, if we need certain things, we know we got people above us to help us steer us in the right direction. So, and then Episcopal is the Episcopal service, if I could say that. So we are very proud of what we stand for, and we have been in the forefront of a lot of social activities, socialism, way back when. Even when they crossed the Pettus Bridge, we have AME Church right on the other side. That's where they met and gathered together before they crossed the bridge. In Alabama, was it Alabama? Selma, thank you. Y'all know. So we have always been the forefront for social justice and equality. And although we're African, and I say African Methodist Episcopal, our doors, especially my doors, is open to each and every person, all walks of life. Even if you crawl in, we'll help you get in. So we're not just limited to just African Americans. We're open to all walks. So as I just said, we have churches all over. So I'm going to say this prayer because we are basically at the same time at this celebration, we're celebrating like our anniversary due to the COVID. We can't meet in-house, and I want to say thank you all. Thank you all who have participated in our programs, who have supported us over the year. Even with COVID, you can still support us. I don't want to do a PSA on raising money, but during the COVID, you can still support us by just sending a donation or offering to the church. We'll gladly take it because it is you all, not just my members, it is you all who have supported to help us keep our doors open, to help us keep our bills paid, and to help us keep the church looking like it's looking. Amen? Amen. So I will be reading here. Great is the Lord and greatly to be praised in the city of our God, in the mountain of his holiness. Beautiful for situation, the joy of the whole earth is Mount Zion, the city of the great King. God is known in her places for a refuge. We have thought of your love kindness, O God, in the midst of your temple. According to your name, O God, so your praise is to the end of earth. Your right hand is full of righteousness. Let Mount Zion rejoice. Let the daughters of Judah be glad because of your judgment. Walk about Zion and go around about her and tell the town thereof. Mark you well her bulwarks. Consider her places, that you may tell to the generations following. For this God is our God forever and ever. He will be our guide even unto death. Amen. May the Lord have a blessing to these words, and may God continue to bless you all. And excuse me, I just lost my train of thought. Getting old is not fun, but it's a joyful thing. But let us continue to support those who have on this picture and those beyond, that I stand on their shoulders like my members to do what we can to serve this community and keep Trinity A.M.E. Church going strong for the next group, the little baby back there, to be the next one to stand in this place and say thank you for all you have done. Amen.
Thank you, Pastor. And we actually have a high-quality reproduction of the image to present.
If I may say, I have told the church about this, and they're looking forward to it. And like I said, I'm getting emotional when I do that, because this means a lot to see where this church has come from to where it is now. And like I said, we're doing all we can to keep this church alive and active, where so many churches have closed their doors through the pandemic. And a lot of pastors, I just recently read 1,700 some odd pastors have retired from the ministry because they just can't do it, and the churches are not there. So thank you. We will honor this, and I want to say thank you to Sister Becky for actually getting some of this rolling. So I thank you. Thank you.
Next, I'd like to welcome Brianna Stigger, President of the Licking County NAACP chapter. Brianna.
Hello, everyone. Thank you. I'm so excited to be here. Thank you to Pastor, to Doug, and to Jack, who have really just ran with a vision that I had. I was specifically interested in learning more about our local history of my people, of our people specifically. As you know, yesterday was actually the anniversary of the 1963 church bombing in Birmingham, and so it's really important that we understand the plight of Black individuals specifically in the church. So this is another way to pay homage to our ancestors. When I look at this picture, I see beauty and resilience and determination, and I see the very ancestors protecting us who are still here today. So I think it's a great opportunity that God has allowed us to be here one more time in the midst to fellowship and to celebrate. We all have a strong faith and a strong determination that will really make us successful. So I just really appreciate each and every one of you being here today. This was really personal for me to learn about our own history and our own culture. I'm a product of Newark City Schools and also the Newark campus, and I never once had a professor who looked like me. I never once learned this history or any history about myself. So I think it's really important that we take a look at our past, as Marcus Garvey told us, to look at our past in order to move forward. So on behalf of the Licking County NAACP, thank you all for being here. I appreciate you, and thank you, Pastor, for starting this, and I look forward to continuing to collaborate. The Black church is something that is very personal to me and to all of us here. It's our faith, it's our foundation that we have. In the midst of COVID, in the midst of the racial injustice, we know whose and who we are in God, in Christ. So I'm very appreciative to be here and thankful to each and every one of you.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you, Brianna. As Suzanne said, I am Jack Goodman, the local history specialist at Licking County Library, and I just want to do a little sort of introduction to the history of the photograph and then our project here at LCL. So sometime in 1920, late spring or early summer, the congregation of Newark's AME church gathered together before the doors of their building for the photograph. The images witnesses the congregation in a moment of transition. The structure that was behind them that was an old Second Presbyterian church in Newark. It was soon being demolished, and a new building, one that would be entirely theirs, from the foundations to the roof, would rise in its place. When Rebecca Black brought this photograph, Rebecca, just so we can acknowledge you for what you've contributed so much to this. This photograph that belonged to her mother, Geneva White Shackelford, to my colleague Doug Stout. He and I were in quick agreement that such a photograph deserved a presentation, discussion, and moment of prominence, and the Licking County Library was the place to do it. Public libraries are dedicated to the communities, offering a place for learning, entertainment, and gathering for all. In Ohio and around the United States, libraries have also become repositories of local and family history, preserving and providing access to materials necessary to study those local communities. History is often treated as a static constant, immutable, a series of indisputable facts. History changes as we change, as society changes, as our collective knowledge, culture, and understanding changes. And this is reflected in the stories we tell, and importantly, whose stories we tell. In the past, some groups, because of gender, sexual orientation, social class, or race, have not enjoyed the spotlight of history, the chance to let their stories be told with pride and praise. But history has changed, grown to encompass diverse groups and communities. And this is what brings us together tonight, a chance to shine a spotlight on an important moment for an important group in the history of Licking County, Trinity A.M.E. Church. So I just have a little timeline here, and like all things, this is a sort of under negotiation. We learn more about the history of the organization of the church here in Newark. But as best we can tell, it was formally organized around 1835. A group of African American worshipers came together to form Newark's first Black Christian congregation. For decades, the congregation had no permanent home, instead utilizing spaces rented or lent to them by others. In 1861, the congregation purchased a lot upon which they built their first church structure, known as the Colored Chapel. And here we have a little image of where that stood at the corner of 4th and Church. The congregation finally settled on Church Street, an edifice previously used by the Presbyterian Church. That church stood at 64 East Church. In 1897, the congregation was formally incorporated as a chapter of the African Methodist Episcopal Church denomination. They would repair, renovate, and care for that structure for more than 30 years. There's a few sort of images of Trinity A.M.E. Church before 1920, when it was still the Presbyterian Church. Trinity after its construction, and an image of what the street looks like in today's Newark. This wonderful image, seen before in previous publications, is the reason we are here. The photograph depicts 82 individuals, and it's a point of contention, but possibly 83 individuals. But that's something we can discuss upstairs. Pose in front of their old church in the spring or summer of 1920, as the congregation embarked on demolishing the old building and replacing it with a new church, which still stands today at 64 East Church Street. The cornerstone was laid on October 22nd, 1920, with much fanfare, including a parade, music, and a large gathering. Similar festivities were held on March 27th, 1921, at the dedication of the new Trinity A.M.E. Church, celebrating this new chapter of the congregation's history. The older members in this photograph lived in the United States and tolerated legal slavery. The youngest would witness the civil rights movement. History is an ongoing process, with our knowledge of the past being expanded and rewritten to reflect our growing understanding. But historical knowledge and memory comes in many forms, and this project seeks out the community's knowledge to further our understanding of history. Only a few individuals in this photograph have been identified with any certainty, and a larger number that we know are present but can't quite identify definitively. And that is where the community comes in. Help us further our understanding of this moment in history of Trinity A.M.E. Church and the significant portion of Newark's African American community that it represents. Join us in this project and grow our understanding of these individuals, their community, and their stories. We hope that such snapshot programs can become a regular feature of the library's programming and outreach. And without any more from me, let's go up and see the real spotlight, real snapshot of it.
Thank